Jez, just want to kind of catch up with you a little bit on your adventure, just on the actual kit that you used, and also nutrition, which is obviously a vital part of what went on.
Yeah.
I mean, talking about nutrition, I mean, what would a daily meal look like for you? I mean, was it changeable during the time, or did you try and stick to...
Yeah, so, I mean, to start with, I was kind of eating like what I would do normally, you know, like muesli and sandwiches and, you know, just a decent meal in the evening. But like it soon became clear that like I needed substantially more calories and like more substantial meals. And so basically, you know, I kind of moved towards like, you know, almost like cooked breakfast in the morning, you know, not like a full-on greasy spoon fryer, but you know, like eggs and bacon on toast and stuff like that, as well as cereal. So I was starting the day on something really substantial, and then it was just kind of like, yeah, just big wholesome meals, like, you know, a pasta lunch, and then, you know, like meat and 2 veg in the evening. So just kind of like good wholesome British food. I said to someone before, actually, it was almost kind of like, you know, almost like sort of a wartime effort, really. I was kind of eating all these like high fat but fairly traditional foods, like, you know, chocolate and, you know, like Kendal mint cake type sort of stuff, you know, super sugary and really incredibly bad for you. But, you know, snacks like that as just instant energy were just ideal. And I don't think, well, I certainly couldn't, you know, do 53 days on gels and like sports drinks. You know, just the sugar and just the taste, I think would have not been a good thing. So I was kind of sticking just to real food, basically, and that seemed to really work. And, you know, I can you know, have a full stomach and still run. That's kind of something I've always been able to do. So yeah, it worked really well. And James was just brilliant in, you know, coming up with all these really sort of interesting like meal plans, and really well balanced in terms of, you know, getting your protein and your carbs and your fats. And his sister-in-law is a top nutritionist, so he was on the phone to her as well. So yeah, that was kind of the way I went about it with the nutrition, basically.
And did you try and stick to traditional meal times? I mean, or, you know, obviously each day was an adventure, so you didn't know all the exact timings. Yeah. But did you always try and eat at a certain time each evening together? And yeah,
if I had, you know, if the guys were able to meet me at the right times, then yeah, I'd, you know. Yeah, it's kind of like breakfast at 6 or half 6, and I would be snacking all morning, and then like I'd just have a big pasta and cheese and tomato lunch, and then, you know, at 1, and then yeah, and then dinner time, basically. Actually, there were several days like when I was out for like maybe 2 or 3 days at a time with a fast pack, and for those days I was using like expedition dehydrated foods to, you know, super lightweight but really nutritious, gluten-free as well, which is something a diet I have to follow. But they were like meals for 2, so they probably weren't really, but, you know, really tasty, and you just add boiling water. So that was kind of what I was doing on the road. Yeah.
Oh, great. And onto the kind of clothing. I mean, obviously, we talked before you went, actually, just, you know, the different weather conditions that New Zealand can throw up, and yeah, obviously you're supported by North Face, which is great, you know, in terms of being able to provide for all the different things. Yeah. How did you find each day? I mean, was it a decision when you got up in the morning to work out what kind of pieces of kit you would take with you?
Yeah, I mean, it was either going to be like a day pack setup when on days when I could meet the crew fairly regularly, and that was pretty lightweight. You know, I'd always have a waterproof, I'd always have like, you know, a survival blanket and waterproof matches and a phone and my GPS, maps, food and water. So that was kind of like my basic sort of setup. And then if the, you know, yeah, look at the forecast. If it's looking a bit, you know, rubbishy, base layer and waterproof trousers, just to keep warm and dry for long periods. But then like on the, you know, on the multi-day sections when I was self-sufficient, you know, it suddenly changes, and, you know, like jet ball stove and a Mika 1 flyweight tent, which is really cool, 1 kilo tent, lightweight down bag, sort of 600 grams, again really comfortable and warm but super lightweight. And then I would always like upgrade the waterproof, so I'd be carrying like a Gore-Tex active shell and you know, like tights and waterproof bottoms and, you know, beanies and spare base layers, all that sort of stuff, because yeah, you'll be up in the mountains and, you know, up at high level, and the weather changes so quickly. So it was kind of, it's always a fine balance between being safe and warm enough and staying fast and light. So it's just kind of, yeah, just making the right kit choices. But there was kind of one piece which was probably my favourite and most widely used, which was actually like a really lightweight fitted base layer in white, which the guys at the North Face produced specially for me in a really great sort of lightweight fabric. So I was wearing that a lot of the time, even on quite hot days, just because it was just kind of like, yeah, just a bit of a go-to piece, and you could stuff it in your bag really easily, but then, you know, with the Gore-Tex on top, you're really nice and toasty as well. So and then for the kayaking, it was great, a great piece as well. Yeah.
And any pieces that you're happy never to see again? Was there any?
No, definitely not, because everything was so tried and tested beforehand. So, you know, like I only took it if I trusted it and I liked it. But yeah, I mean, there was a lot of wear on the footwear, because I was just the nature of the terrain, so I was getting through tons of shoes, and but yeah, like, you know, I could trust everything I was using like 100%, and it was amazing actually to have the opportunity to kind of like test the kit to that level as well. And, you know, and then like in a couple of weeks time I'll be back at, you know, with the designers and like feeding back and just like sharing my enthusiasm and ideas and thoughts. So it's awesome to kind of have had the opportunity to use the expedition to kind of be part of that process as well.
I'll say, I've mentioned before, you know, you're obviously very inspiring what you've done, and I mean, is the parts of the trails that you, I'm sure people could go and run the whole trail, but it's obviously, yeah, it'd take at least 53 days, if not a little bit longer. I mean, there's part of the trails that you'd recommend in particular for someone who was looking for an adventure run?
I mean, it varies a lot. I mean, the Queen Charlotte track, you know, the very first part of the South Island, the top of the South Island, is pretty special. It's one of the 9 great walks in New Zealand. I mean, it's a bit of a motorway as trails go, because it's, you know, really well formed and wide and not that technical, but in terms of the setting, you know, like running along these narrow ridges of land, like with sea either side, and all these little turquoise sort of coves, and then sort of heavily wooded, yeah, like fingers of land, and wow, yeah, it was just mind-blowing really. And I had some really good weather along that stretch. So yeah, like if you're in New Zealand on a trip, then I would head there and spend a couple of days on the Queen Charlotte track. But yeah, I mean, you can pick any section and it's pretty special, you know. Get out into the wilderness and stay over in the huts, and, you know, it's a pretty incredible experience. And the network of huts in New Zealand is almost like beyond belief really. I think there's like 900, and they're run by the Department of Conservation, and you can just turn up with your hut ticket, which is just a few dollars, and they'll have like bunks and mattresses, and usually some water collected from rain off the roof, which, you know, you boil and drink, and they'll be on like some amazing like ridge line or incredible setting with views, and you know, and you can just get out of the elements, and they'll quite often have like an open fire as well. So it's just like, wow, you know, to have those facilities, and kind of you can stop off at them as well during the day if the weather's not so bad, and sign the logbook as a bit of a safety thing. So just an amazing network, which is unique to New Zealand, and, you know, you would love to see in other parts of the world, and brilliantly self-maintained by the people that use it. So yeah, it's just a perfect place to run and explore basically.